Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll, and with me today is the wonderful, the man from animation deliberation himself, J. Scotty St. Clair. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me back. It's been a while, but I'm excited to be back on the cast to talk about an exciting trailer with you. How are you?
Dude, absolutely. I am pumped because this trailer looks sweet, and I'm pumped because you're on the podcast. Always a pleasure to have J. Scotty on. So I say we just dive in. Let's watch this trailer one more time. We're going to watch it right here live, and then we're going to dive into all the particulars and just have like a loose conversation, and then we're probably going to do some frame-by-frame stuff as well. So let's watch it.
You're an interesting man, Scott Lang. You're an Avenger. You have a daughter. But you've lost a lot of time, like me. We can help each other with that. Who are you? I'm the man who can give you the one thing you want. What's that? Time.
It can rewrite existence and shatter timelines. You cannot trust him.
I don't care who this guy is. I just lost so much. He can give us a second chance.
Let me make this easy for you. You will bring me what I need, or everything you call a life will end.
This is all my fault.
You may not want her to watch this.
We had a deal.
Thought you could win.
I don't have to win. We both just have to lose.
I'm sorry, Cassie.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I'm in. I'm very much in.
Agreed. I liked that first trailer a lot, but this really put the mania in Quantumania, and I am super hyped.
Yeah, a lot of the visuals, I mean, Scott being like buried in a million Scotts and stuff reminded me almost of like Doctor Strange levels of weirdness.
Definitely.
You know? Like a million hands grabbing onto his face and stuff. Like it feels very, very much like, like this is going to get crazy. This is going to get crazy. Yeah. And the biggest takeaway for me, though, is that, and we kind of got this from the first trailer, the first major trailer, but like this looks like Scott is going to make a deal with the devil, and not like we'd speculated that like maybe he'll make a deal to like get out of the quantum realm, but like not fully understanding who Kang is or what he's going to do, which is maybe still the case. But like, it sounds like he's offering Scott a chance at reversing time. So this sounds like, to me, like a much more selfish decision, and maybe even like hubristic decision. That's not a word. I'm sure it's not. He's like, but like, you know what I mean? Like, instead of just like, oh, this guy, like teaming up with him and then getting double crossed, it seems like which also seems like it's going to happen. It seems like he is like making a decision to use time travel for his own purposes, not just like get out of there, but like to go back in time and have time with Cassie, because he's regretful of the time he missed.
Yeah, definitely. You bring up the visuals that are very reminiscent of Doctor Strange, and I agree. And that's one thing I really appreciate is how the mind-bending visual language from like Doctor Strange all the way back in 2016 has really permeated the MCU. And with this being the first installment of Phase 5, I thought it was really fitting the way they injected the text into the trailer, like witness the beginning of a new dynasty. And I agree with everything you said about it looks like Scott's going to make a deal with Kang, but we got so much Kang in this trailer compared to what we've seen of him so far. And I think between Scott's dialogue, the rest of the dialogue all comes from Kang, except for maybe a line or two from Janet. So again, making the comparisons to Doctor Strange, Kang doesn't seem like he's going to be a villain like Dormammu, who kept to his bargain. It doesn't seem like Kang is going to keep his bargain with Scott. So,
or at least the bargain. It reminds me of like a genie. You make the wish with the genie, but then they have the twist. Sure. And it looks like he's going to be like, yeah, we'll give you that future you want, but not the way you want it. You know what I mean? Or like, we're giving you, and maybe just directionally not. Like, that's such an interesting thing. We kind of expect even the villains to live up to their word. Like, I think a lot of the best villains do. You know what I mean? Very rarely does a villain or a trickster, as it were, just like tell you one thing and then completely do the opposite. Like, it's often that like, monkey's paw thing, Oh
yeah, the gift of the Magi. Yeah.
Right, the thing where they swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So when you like, why wouldn't we think that Kang would just straight up lie to him? You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting, like, because they want us to have empathy for the villains so often, it seems like they still make them have some sort of honor, some level of honor. But what if Kang has this much power, but his level of honor is like nothing because he just doesn't care about these people? These aren't real people. He says it. He says, what you call a life. Like, that's terrifying. The idea of a villain who has like such power and no, like, not even a code. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It sounds so cool. I want to see it.
When you have the power to rewrite existence and shatter timelines, maybe you don't keep yourself beholden to trivial concepts such as honor.
Right. Or just like honesty or just like as soon as he gets what he wants from Scott, he's just going to take what he wants. Doesn't really care about like, he doesn't care what Scott thinks of him or anything like that. Scott will not exist. The other line I really love is, I don't have to win. I just have to make sure we both lose.
Right. Yes.
It's very like fitting for the Ant-Man character, like just down on his luck. Like I like that a lot. I like him being willing to it's self-sacrificing. It's sacrificing what he wanted because he realizes the stakes were higher than he thought. I really like that line a lot. I can't wait to see what the context is.
Yeah, I think that line in combination with Kang's line about like, you might not want her to see this, just like eeks of like desperation and how heightened the stakes are at that point. And you mentioned about Scott getting Kang what he wants. I'm very curious as to what it is that Kang actually wants. But in terms of the story we're actually going to see, like the Ant-Man films have historically always been heist films. So my mind is kind of going to the thought, does Scott make this deal with Kang thinking that he can outsmart Kang? Like, I will perform this heist for Kang, but then I will double cross Kang, and it doesn't end up going that way. Does, Kang start off actually altruistic and wanting to honor his word, and it's when Scott double crosses him? Maybe Scott's the one that does the double crossing. He is historically a con man, and it looks like Cassie, for better or worse, is following his footsteps a little bit.
That's true. She's in jail at the beginning of this movie. I think we have a big clue as to what Scott thinks of Kang, and that is we see Janet telling Hank and Hope that this guy is bad. He can mess with all of time and all this stuff. But we also have seen from both trailers there's two camps. There's the Hope, Janet, and Hank camp, and there's the Cassie and Scott camp, and they get separated. So I have a feeling the deal that he strikes with Kang is going to be before he gets the knowledge that Janet has.
Okay.
So like if they're separated, it's likely he will do the job for Kang, whatever the job is. Maybe it's a heist, you know what I mean? Maybe he uses his heist skills to get in and get what he needs for Kang, give Kang something. I don't know what he could need down there in the quantum realm. I'm assuming it has to have something to do with like him escaping the quantum realm still. That still seems most likely to me.
Yeah, I don't have any strong basis, but I would imagine it might have to do with something with like the stabilization of timelines, because it looks like there's that one scene where Ant-Man is like reaching up to like, there's a golden light kind of coming down, and he's like basically hoisted himself up on multiple versions of himself. And you see some of them kind of being like pulled apart, like with string theory, or kind of like what we saw Thanos do with the Reality Stone, or some of the Doctor Strange visuals again. So I'm wondering if it's something that would allow Kang to exist in the reality that he wants to without being destabilized, for lack of a better term. Like that's kind of where my mind went based on what I was seeing there. And it looks like that's when Janet kind of comes in and saves him. Ant-Man, that is.
Yeah, maybe. And that makes a lot of sense if it's like something that allows him to stay stabilized while manipulating all of time and space, you know? Oh, man. The one worry that I have about this movie, and I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think it's going to work. But I just don't even understand what Kang's doing. You know what I mean? Like, when he fires his weapon, what is that weapon? You know what I mean? Is it altering time in some way, or does he just have a blaster? You know what I mean? Like, he's just like when all those Scots are running together and they're all piling towards some like purpose, right? Are all of those Scots conscious actors in that moment? Are all of them like working together? Like a million versions of Scott have been separated into all those versions. Are they all consciously doing what they're doing, or are they somehow shadows of the Scott we're seeing? Like, I don't understand. I'm looking forward to like the weirdness of that.
Oh yeah.
If Scott is split into 1,000 personalities and then all of them are somehow sort of pruned except for one, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Yeah. Also, don't tell anyone this. Don't tell Haley or Jeff this. But Ant-Man's got 3 variant points right there. You know what I mean? That's a lot of variant points. I think Ant-Man might be a good call.
Yeah, it's already in the bag. Yeah, I have no idea really when it comes to like these multiple versions of Ant-Man. I think that would be the route that I would go that would make the story a little more weighty, is if we were having to sacrifice like, you know, hundreds and thousands of Scots at a time to achieve one goal, and it's all up to this one version of Scott. Like, you know, I could really see that like putting the mania in Quantumania and giving the story a little bit more weight. But to go back to what you brought up about like what Kang's powers are, like I'm with you. I don't really know, but like that blue color that comes across his face shield, the blue color that he's blasting, even when the Marvel Studio logo pops up, it has like a shimmer of that blue energy. So I don't know if it's just quantum energy, something that's keeping him alive. He has the scarring on his face. So like my mind kind of went to like, what if his body was like starting to be like split apart at one point in time, and he has to like constantly like use this blue energy as a way to like keep himself anchored in the quantum realm, so he's just not split apart because he's gone to so many different timelines. Like that's kind of what I thought, but it certainly seems like he can use it as a weapon with blasting it and whatnot. But I found myself definitely drawn more to the like physical combat rather than the blasty stuff. I'm hoping we see more of that physical combat, because that's where he looks scary.
He really does. When he steps on Ant-Man, I mean, which is kind of funny, stepping on Ant-Man in that moment, and like bursts his helmet and cracks his helmet. It just looks so forceful and so strong. Someone in the chat just said Kang smash. T-Man 1073. Thank you for that.
Yes.
So are you, there's so many things I could say. I'm really excited about this, but you want to get into the frame by frame and see what else we happen to see?
Yeah, I think the last thing I will say before we get into that is just, and I'm surprised it hasn't come up yet, but MODOK. We got MODOK. Right, MODOK confirmed. Yeah.
And from what I understand, from like, I don't know where we got this information, but people say it there's speculation, or it was in a trailer for Comic-Con or something, that's Corey Stoll.
I believe that because there's the one shot late in the trailer where it's like full on MODOK in the center of the camera. Looks like he's wearing like or he might be entirely mechanical, or at least he has a face shield on. But there are shots previously in the trailer with Kang. Some of them are kind of overhead. Some of them are off to the side a little bit, but you can actually see MODOK without the face shield on, and you can see it does resemble Corey Stoll. So I believe that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll have to point those out to me when we get to them, because I did not see those. I just saw that one shot. All right. Good. But yeah, good call. I can't believe they're bringing Corey Stoll was the character who played, or the actor who played Yellow Jacket in the first Ant-Man. I really love how much the first Ant-Man sets this movie up. The more I think about it, like that whole movie is about like diving into the quantum realm and like what happens if you go down there. And the second movie is all about saving Janet from the quantum realm. And then it's like, now we're just in the quantum realm. And I really like the progression of those movies. We've gotten to the characters, but it's clearly been heading to this, you know?
Definitely.
All right. Well, we're going to scrub through this and press play and see what happens, and go real slow in places and see what we find. Kang says, "You're an interesting man, Scott Lang." And then we have Scott being a superstar, which we know from the Kamala Khan show that he has a podcast. So he's like, I guess him and Hope are now like superstars in the world of superheroing.
Yeah, enjoying the limelight. He's got his podcast, Big Me, Little Me. I can't remember where it was revealed, but I think he also wrote a book. I think maybe in the last trailer we saw him perhaps reading at what looked like an event where he was reading from his book. I can't remember the title of the book, but he's definitely milking his experience and kind of relishing it. So I don't blame him at all.
Yeah, me neither. Oh man. All right, then we get into the what looks like quantum realm madness here.
Definitely.
So let's start going a little slower. See what we see. Ooh, look at that! Just the CGI looks really good in this movie.
Oh yeah.
I always find that in these movies, when they actually go to the quantum realm or some ethereal plane, that's when some of these CGI suits and stuff look their best. Because I guess just the environment is already kind of make believe. I think a lot of times the problems come when you have these CGI things like mixed in with real elements, you know?
Sure.
And you're like, I can just tell there's a seam there, you know?
Definitely.
Very cool. He says, you're an Avenger, you're a father, or you have a daughter. Mm-hmm. And then it shows Scott looking at his phone, a picture of young Cassie, and then it cuts to a picture of Cassie getting out of jail. And it looks like all four parental figures are there looking disappointed. Well, by that I mean Scott and Hope and Janet and Hank, not... Well, I don't know if this may be a different shot. This may be some from a different part of the trailer.
It could be cut differently. I wouldn't be surprised, but Kang's monologue there kind of sticks out to me. He talks about how you've lost a lot of time, and it goes from that shot where Scott's looking at the young picture of Cassie to the new actress playing Cassie as she steps out of the jail cell. And you really got to wonder, like, he's probably got to, as close as he is to his daughter, and how he would do anything for his daughter, and how all of these stories have been motivated by his relationship as a father to his daughter. He's got to feel like some level of estrangement to have missed so much of her life, whether he was in jail, whether he was on house arrest, or being stuck in the quantum realm and missing out on the blip. So I appreciate that emotional through line that they're really driving home already.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I really hope that they don't make it like the storyline I'm seeing here is that Scott is sad that the way they've put this trailer together, and I don't think that shot of him walking in with Hank and Scott and Janet is even from this scene, but it makes it look like Scott is disappointed in his daughter for, you know, getting arrested or something, and now he's like, he's lost so much time with her, he couldn't like raise her. But like, dude, you were an ex-con, like I don't think you would have necessarily done a better job, like you're fine. Like this isn't like nothing against ex-cons, but like it's not like his example would have like been that much different. But maybe that's just not the plot here. Maybe that's just the way they put the trailer together.
Sure.
Because if the whole reason he doesn't want, or wants to like change the timeline is because his daughter's turned out to be like a little like rough around the edges. I'll be annoyed. I'd like it to be because, you know, he just wants to have the time with her or whatever. You know?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, we got another shot of the lab, and it's pulsing and pulling everyone in.
There's that blue light.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I had something I meant to mention in the pre-talk here before we even got into it, was that something that seems confirmed in this trailer that was not in previous trailers was the fact that it seems like that army that's being built is Kang's army. We had speculated it could be someone else's, and if Kang's all alone, he's trying to take down whoever that is to like be able to escape or whatever. But it looks like that big army is Kang's army.
Yeah, that's what I took from it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, in previous trailers we didn't really get them together. So then the entire lab's being sucked into all the items in the lab, and the people are being sucked into the quantum realm because of this device that Cassie, we know from the other trailer, has brought to them. Mm-hmm. Or built with somebody.
And we saw it in the last trailer too, but I appreciate the fact that Scott doesn't get sucked in like forcefully. Like he lets go once he sees Cassie go, and he's like, I'm immediately going in after her.
Yeah, for sure. He's trying to save her, and then when he can't save her, he's like, I'm in. This nice, not only it looks like Janet and Hope and Hank have already gone in. So it's like everyone he loves has just like been thrown into the quantum realm, and I think he's just ready to go. Mm-hmm. And then we get this just great, like, I don't know, almost Imperial looking, like Star Wars Imperial looking floor.
Definitely.
With Kang walking forward. I just imagine that this is going to be a villain that we're going to like love for a long time. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
This portrayal, you know, we all talk about Thanos, and Thanos is a great villain. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously Vader. It's like there's only a few that like to me stand out as like the villains of all time, and this is looking. I know it's early days, but man, I am pumped for this portrayal of Kang.
Yeah, one thing I noticed in this shot that stuck out to me is after the blue energy kind of dissipates from his face, his eyes remain blue. But I believe in the next shot when we see him, his eyes are no longer blue. So I'm wondering. Again, what purpose this blue energy is serving, and if it like stays with him for a while and he has to like constantly go back to it as a source of sustenance or something like that.
It's interesting. I hadn't thought that. Like I thought it was just like just kind of how his whatever power he's using is blue. But yeah, I didn't notice the thing with the eyes. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's the blue is like keeping him like in some sort of stasis or young or whatever, because clearly he's like centuries old. It seems, at least some of the Kangs are.
Yeah.
Then we have Kang walking out and looking at this, like, you know, the quantum realm basically, but this city in the quantum realm. Mm-hmm. And again, these like spheres that are like these discs that are lifting up over this structure, as she says, he can rewrite existence.
I imagine that's his fortress.
Yeah, it looks like his fortress and possibly some sort of weapon.
Yeah.
Like his fortress looks like it may function in some way to like mess with timelines.
Sure.
And see, then we get this shot of Scott dividing and becoming two Scotts.
Yep.
And that's the thing, like these look like they're two Scotts that are fully Scott. Like they don't look like shadows or other versions. And the fact that he split there makes me think it's the same Scott that's just been split into two, which makes me think this is the beginning of that scene where we have like, you know, thousands of Scotts running. And I'm just really interested to see like how they portray that and how that works on like a character level. Like how does he experience that?
Yeah. They have very similar reactions to each other, but the timing is just off enough to where it seems like they each have their own autonomy. So it'll be really interesting to see how that interplay works out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what it reminds me of? I mean, I think this is clearly what it's supposed to be. In the first and I think the second Ant-Man, we have moments where the ants like all team together and all like work together as a colony to like build a structure. And then in this, you've got that happening, but it's actually Ant-Man doing it, which I think is a clever little way of thinking about that.
That's a great catch. My mind kind of went to I don't know if you've seen Ralph Breaks the Internet.
No, I haven't.
I don't think it's big spoilers to say, but there's a sequence where there are many of him kind of like that, and they all assemble to create like a larger version. My mind went there, but I love, you pointing out that Ant-Man has actually become the ant in Ant-Man. That's
right.
good.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the second place we've gotten that, where him being stepped on by a boot of Kang is another one. Like,
sure,
he's sort of he is the ant when it comes to Kang, he is the ant, you know? Yeah. And I think they're driving that home with that imagery, because like that little structure he builds with all the different Ant-Man holding each other up looks very similar to that scene in the first Ant-Man when they're going through the water and they're reaching up to like pass down a key or something. I can't even remember. Part of the heist.
Correct.
At the end. Oh gosh.
Okay, so this is the first shot where if you look in the background, you can actually see MODOK. He's behind a couple of those guards with the blue face masks, but you can see him even better in a couple of shots here, I believe.
Yeah, it's totally Corey Stoll. That's absolutely Corey Stoll, I feel like.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a shot of Ant-Man, Cassie, and Kang walking forward, and it looks like Kang is like touring them. And Corey Stoll. That's gonna be really interesting because this looks like this is not a scene of fighting. This is him talking and making the deal. Possibly, it'll be really interesting to see what Corey Stoll or what Yellow Jacket has to say. Here, MODOK now has to say to Scott. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And they're kind of looking over this man-made or just constructed cliffside. And that golden light that's kind of like shining through like the red ether there looks very much like the light that we see later on when the Ant-Men are kind of building each other up to try and reach out to whatever the ultimate goal is. So I have to imagine this is where Kang is like, this is what I want. Now you be the one to get it. And to your point, it looks like it's just Scott and Cassie at this point. We don't see the other members of Team Ant-Man.
Right. It makes me wonder if, so given what we see with Ant-Man nearing the golden light source and the mini Ant-Mans, my initial reaction is like, that's why Kang can't do it. Because if Kang does it, it will create more Kangs, and he does not want that. You know what I mean? The one thing we know about Kang is he wants to be the only Kang.
Sure.
So if he goes down there to that light source and like whatever, he goes through whatever process we see Scott going through, like he's just going to create a bunch of enemies for himself. But Scott, being like a hero of true heart or whatever, he can like fool Scott into doing like this thing that's sacrificial. Like, because I imagine if all those Ant-Mans are created, they're all having a real lived experience in that moment, and they're all but one probably are going to sacrifice themselves to get the one to where he needs to be. You know?
Yeah. You made the allusion to a genie earlier on, and this is like making me think of more of him as like Jafar in Aladdin. Like Jafar had to recruit Aladdin to go into the Cave of Wonders to get the lamp because he couldn't do it himself because he wasn't pure of heart. So
yeah, no, I love it. I love that. I wonder how closely this will mirror. Now we'll be looking for more Aladdin allusions.
You ain't never had a king like me.
Never had a king. Never had a king. Oh man,
Scott looks a little bit like Homelander, right there. Maybe it's just me.
We're talking about this shot where he's hugging Cassie. I can kind of see it. The face he's making or something. Then we have this really great shot of Ant-Man, full Ant-Man suit, diving into some sort of structure. This might be him like diving down and shrinking down to go into that golden light source to try to retrieve whatever.
It looks like it, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and oh man, this little weird lava lamp floor.
Yeah, very Lovecraftian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's all like liquid, which is very strange.
Mm-hmm.
February 17th, so freaking close. This is some Avatar stuff right here. We got like this winged creature with Hank, which we saw in the last trailer, but now we get to see it like skimming the water with Hank, Janet, and Hope riding the back of it. So funny how much you see in different trailers, because in the last trailer we were still like trying to make sure we knew who each person on the thing was.
Right.
Looks like some creatures on the cliffside there.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay, but it's too fast to say. They're only a blur.
You got the motion blurring happening, yeah.
Yeah, even frame by frame, can't tell what's going on there. And so I think this is probably like, yeah, look at that. That's so ant-like. I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
And Scott trying to get up there and stop whatever needs to be stopped or capture whatever needs to be captured.
And there's some kind of like inscription on the bands that are encircling that golden light source, and I'd have to kind of go back and look and see. Have we seen? Yeah, so
runes people have been saying online that the similar runes are being written here and on the bands of Miss Marvel.
Okay.
And on possibly the 10 rings. I don't know. Okay. Like, I think this is the first time. That was what people were saying after the last trailer. Okay. I think this is the first time we've gotten this clear a view. Sure. Let me see if I can pull up a shot of the bangle from Miss Marvel and just like compare the inscription.
I would lean more into the bangle than I would the 10 rings, but getting a little bit into speculation, I imagine we're going to find out that the 10 rings, and I know I'm not the first to say it, but I do think the 10 rings may have been from the quantum realm or from Kang, knowing that he has this ability to time travel and influence timelines. Maybe he was the original owner, but
yeah. And then when you think about Miss Marvel, and that show ended up being a time travel show as well.
True.
So you think about like the idea that this bangle has this time travel ability, and then you're like, maybe that is Kang. Maybe that is an artifact of a previous Kang, or something we speculated on a previous episode was the idea that this might be a. I'm trying to get a good shot of this bangle to pull up on the screen here.
While you're doing that, again with the mention of Genie, the villains or the pseudo villains in Miss Marvel were the Jinn, which is a derivative of Genie, or Genie is a derivative of Jinn. So
I almost said like or Jinn when I was talking about the genies, and then no, it's very very seems very directional when you're talking about this as a Jinn, like the idea that Kang could actually have been a Jinn in their eyes,
right.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so cool. Yeah, I don't think it's very definitive. Like it's hard to see. Just looking at it from here, it's hard to see the inscription or whatever. You can't really see exactly, but it's similarly shaped inscriptions. But the bangle doesn't look. The bangle doesn't look nearly as. It doesn't look nearly as much like words or like some sort of language.
Gotcha.
And the one on the 10 rings, at least as far as I can tell, the thing is they both have a lot of circles involved. Which with 10 rings, that all makes sense with the rings. But it's hard to tell. They don't look exactly analog to what we're seeing here, but you could definitely see them being related. People are talking as if they are, so we'll see. We'll see if that comes to fruition. Okay, let's move on. I'm sure there will be people with good breakdowns online. From what I can tell, they don't look exactly the same, but they look similar.
Okay.
And moving forward, this so looks like ants. It's so funny. It's great.
Definitely.
Like it's just millions of Scotts. Is that Cassie looking into the heart
Cassie, yes.
of this thing? To me, and at this point, it looks like, we can see that Janet or at least Hank has caught up with them.
Right.
So I'm assuming Janet has too. So I'm guessing this is what, like, just as a trying to figure out the plot thing, I think we get, like, he looks like he may miniaturize that whatever that light is.
Okay.
And then it looks like he's given it to Kang. Like, whatever that light is now inside of Kang's fortress, it looks like.
Oh, okay. Okay, because, like, the expression on Cassie's face, I'm wondering, is she waiting for something to come out of that source? Like, has Scott gone in there and she's waiting for him to come back out? Or is she preparing herself to dive in?
Interesting. That's possible. To me, it looks like they're like Janet just walked in and said, "You helped him do what?" And they're looking at it like, "Oh, we just handed him everything he needs." Like,
okay, and it looks like Hope is in the background there. You can just barely see her face in the corner.
Yeah, for sure. And then in the next shot, you see Hope and Scott meeting up. So I'm assuming this is all that same area, like They just found them. It looks like maybe Scott has already done whatever heist needed to be done for Kang.
Right.
Okay, then we get to this next shot. It shows these, and yeah, this is when it confirmed it for me. These soldiers have that same blue helmet, plain blue faces. So it looks like these are the soldiers that work for Kang, and they're preparing for some sort of,
Yeah, it's a mobilization of sorts. Looks like an assault about to take place.
Yeah. Ooh, what do we got here? People we haven't seen before. It looks like maybe just citizens of the quantum realm running from the assault.
Right. And
that's happening.
It could be the amount of smoke and debris in the air, but the background looks a lot different than anything else we've seen in the trailer, to me anyway.
Yeah. Well, it looks like there's those weird tubules up top.
Right.
That are, I don't even know what that is. It looks like little worms reaching down.
Like almost techno-organic or something, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of that's how the whole Quantum Realm films, techno-organic is probably a good way to talk about it. And also sort of mystical. And, you talk about how the Doctor Strange visual language continued on. And it's interesting because now we know the Doctor Strange visual language was about the different realms, you know what I mean? So like traveling through different realms, traveling to different timelines, it all kind of like, and multiverse, like all of it kind of combines into, magic is just the science we don't understand yet sort of thing from the first Thor.
It was funny because like the way Spider-Man Far From Home went, I remember when we first got that one or even the trailers for it and people were like, oh, multiverse confirmed. It was like, the multiverse was confirmed all the way back in 2016 Doctor Strange. Like the Ancient One told Stephen Strange, like there's a multiverse out there and that's where we draw our power from.
Yeah. Well, see, and in that movie, that is true, but it seemed like by multiverse, all of the different realms they travel to in that movie seem like they are just different realms instead of
dimensions.
Universes.
Yeah, you've got the dark dimension, the mirror dimension. Yeah.
Exactly.
I get you. Yeah.
But and she talks about drawing power from the mirror dimension, but now it seems like the quantum realm is also some sort of realm. I really want like a sketch out of how this works. Because to me, it seems to me that each universe has its own realms. You know what I mean? Like each universe has its own mirror dimension and dark dimension. I guess there's dimensions, realms, and then universes.
Right.
And then it seems to me that the quantum realm, based on how we've seen it used so far, I still believe it's the stitching between universes. And that's why Kang is interested in being there.
I would prescribe to that belief as well.
All right, we have a shot of Janet and Hank hanging on to each other. Like, what did you do, Scott? That's got to be what's going on there. This shot that we've seen a similar version in the last trailer of a giant man collapsing down and becoming just string on the floor. Ugh.
Right.
Just like one of the ways of reality warping someone into not existence. It seems terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Great shot of Kang, just looking awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited for Jonathan Majors because just the amount of emotion he's able to broadcast in just a couple of seconds there. There's anger, but there's also hurt behind that anger. I'm super excited.
Jonathan Majors is a great actor, and I am so like the fact they got him for Kang, and I just feel like he was such an up and coming actor that like proved himself so quickly and is immediately in like such a great property to establish himself as like he's gonna be Kang forever. You know what I mean? Like he's always like especially if he makes it through all this entire phase as being in the Kang dynasty and everything. Like it's just he's gonna be such a well known. He's going to be so tied to that role. In a way, poor Jonathan Majors, because, he's got such diverse skills, but it's going to be such a meaty role. I'm excited for him.
Likewise.
Then he says, you may not want her to watch this. And then the blue helmeted Mysterio clones take Cassie from Scott's hands. And he's like, we had a deal.
Right.
And then we get the actual physical violence of Kang knocking Scott down and coming down and just stomping on the poor little ant bug. Oh, not yet, but yeah. Oh, there's an explosion here. Sorry, I'm kind of moved a little too fast. I don't know why I did.
Explosion.
Yeah, so Kang says we had a deal, and then Kang shoots him with this bolt. And there's still that like yellow substance in the background, and
whatever Cassie was looking at earlier. So that leads credence to me that it's some kind of portal that people can pass through.
Okay, it's definitely possible. I was thinking it was like maybe a power source is what my mind went to, but it's absolutely possible. Did he come through? Oh, they do come through that earlier.
Was he being blasted through that? Yeah, maybe.
No. So yeah, maybe that's not the same as the thing that he's firing on, though, because earlier in the trailer, if I remember correctly, Scott walks them through a door that looks similar to that as he's showing them the like crazy thing down on the floor or whatever. Let me see if I can find it here.
Right before the first time we saw MODOK?
Yeah, right here. They go, well, no, see, this portal's a little more purple. Yeah, okay, never mind. That's not the same. That's more
portal gives me more vibes of like what we saw in the final episode of Loki.
Yes, 100%. And then it looks like he maybe, whatever this thing is at the end, is either a portal or this more powerful portal possibly, or it's or it's a power source or something. Okay, getting back to where we were here. I just remember them walking through that portal. I was like, God, it's so freaking pretty. Yeah, whatever that is, that's the MacGuffin of the movie, it seems.
Certainly.
Look at that. And Kang is just like leaping off this thing. And I think for a second he forms one of those little discs, right? Or does he not? No, he just jumps. It looks like he's like running across air.
Yeah, doing the Star-Lord thing.
Yeah, exactly. Who is that rolling off? Is that Scott? Yeah, that's Scott.
Is it Scott? Okay. I thought maybe it was Janet or Hope for a little bit, but I think you're right.
I think there's red in the suit, but I'm not 100%. It's definitely not yellow. Or what does she have? She has like a white. The Wasp. Okay, then we get this explosion and MODOK descending down on two people that look like
good
just
catch.
citizens.
I didn't see that was him, but yeah, you're totally right.
Well, it's the same shot we see him up close, but you're right. Yeah, I was thinking it's the same shot. Yeah, there's MODOK coming down, and there's Go MODOK with. He just looks so good. He looks so much like MODOK.
All his glory with the angry eyes and the giant grimace.
Yeah, that's great.
And he's got arms.
He's got like a red jewel in his head too. I wonder what that jewel does.
Yeah, good question.
It makes me think of Infinity Stones, of course, but that probably isn't the case here. Poor Scott, just completely beaten down.
Yeah, that's where Jonathan Majors is employing some of that training he did for Creed 3. Just slugging him.
Can't wait for Creed 3. Yeah. Whoa, look at those arms. Jonathan Majors is a specimen.
That
is. And then we get the shot of Hope as the wasp jumping down. It looks like she's having the same effect where there's multiple wasps being created as she's jumping in. I think, and she looks like she's saving Scott from, whatever this pile of Scots is.
This is making me think that, they've been separated up until this point. Mm-hmm. Scott met up with Kang. Kang had him try to achieve this mission, and when it's going south, that's when Hope swoops in and prevents him from completing his arrangement with Kang, but also saves him from a pretty terrifying fate.
Well, it's just really interesting, and I can't wait to see it in context, because if those are all real Scotts, she goes down. She's also getting multiple of her, but they still like they're recombining with her somehow.
Right.
But you see a different Scott's hand there. She reaches down, grabs one of the Scotts, and pulls him out. And so it's like, is that, or maybe that's the same Scott, two hands? Yeah, that might be two of the same Scott's hands. It's just like, what about all those other Scotts that are down there? Are they just left to die?
Yeah.
In my vision of what's probably happening here is I think he completed the mission, but then it was going to kill him. Whatever it was, he was about to die, and she saves his life, but whatever he did has already like screwed things up to the point that we're seeing here.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just the way I saw it. Here's the boot scene. I've been waiting for the boot scene.
Yeah.
God, the whole one sleeve Kang thing with the boot to the face.
Yeah. This shot, the fact that they placed the camera inside the helmet so you're getting...
Look how high his leg is.
Yeah.
Ugh, so much leverage to stomp with.
Yeah, I love that shot. Yeah.
So Kang breaks the Ant-Man helmet, stomping on it. And then we see a just charred, destroyed Ant-Man helmet. And then Scott getting up and saying, I don't have to win. I just have to make sure we both lose. Oh, and it just looks like exactly the kind of... I mean, I think these battles are at their best when like the characters really barely make it through. It feels like, you know? Yeah. And it looks like there's just going to be a lot of stakes to this fight.
Definitely.
And then this shot, which I'm guessing is part of that from earlier, Scott falling through 1,000 other Scotts.
Yeah.
Getting buried in himself.
Claustrophobia.
For sure. And then we just get this beautiful shot of blue Kang coming down the disc and then like firing. Oh, it's so good.
Definitely.
It's very, very good. February 17th, guys. We're doing it. We're going to make it. We're going to make it.
Yeah.
So, after seeing it up much even closer, what do you think?
Yeah, my hype is just still super, super elevated. I'm really excited for what looks like it might be Ant-Man's swan song here.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think it's possible with him saying, make sure we both lose, that he's making the sacrifice.
Yeah, that's what has me saying that. And the fact that Cassie's being introduced, she could go on to take the mantle. But yeah, I'm incredibly excited and love to get this much of a showcasing of Kang. But at the same time, I find myself being very worried for Scott. So I think it's an incredibly effective trailer. I really liked that first trailer, and I loved the remix of Elton John's Yellow Brick Road, but this one is just like tonally divergent, like really, really sense the desperation and mania here. So I'm excited. How about you?
Man, I am pumped. I am really pumped. And I think it seems like the plot is pretty clear, like at least the basic sketch of the plot, but I still don't know what the stakes are, you know, and I still don't know why Scott wants to change the past so bad. Like, I know he's had a hard time, and but it all turned out okay. He saved the universe, you know, like,
yeah.
It'll make me mad if Scott makes a decision that would undo the work he's done, you know, like, I realize you lost time with your daughter. That's terrible. But you also like saved the universe. You saved everybody else's daughter, you know, like just have a little bit of like moral calculus when you're making these decisions. I don't know. It looks great. Looks great. Well, guys, a lot of people are mad at you, Jay Scotty, in the chat because you're talking about Ant-Man dying.
Okay, I apologize. It's nothing. Can't confirm it, but it's a possibility. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
I do think it's possible. It definitely crossed my mind. But even if he did die in this movie, I don't think it's over for him because
sure,
this is exactly the kind of death. If you're dying in the midst of a million other versions of yourself being created, I feel like there's just so many ways to bring you back. Like, I wouldn't think of this as a final death if he died, but it's not looking good for him for sure in moments in the trailer, which I love. I love it.
Yeah, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe has a history of like recontextualizing big moments from the comics, and in the House of M, when Scarlet Witch went bad, like one of her first like unforgivable acts was actually killing Scott Lang, like right in front of Cassie Lang. So he eventually came back, but maybe, that, again, I don't want to make people mad, but I just have to acknowledge the possibility for that happening. There is precedent for us losing our lovable guy.
Absolutely. And with that line, you don't want her to watch this, and taking Cassie away, it definitely seems like that's Kang's purpose, is to do something to Scott. Oh, goodness.
What else would galvanize our troops to face Kang as the ultimate big bad going forward than a sacrifice play like this?
Yep. I hear you. I hope you're wrong.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong too.
Whatever. Send in your letters to jscotty at Gmail. I don't know. What's your social? What's a social where everyone can send you all their anger that you're trying, that you really want to kill off Scott Lang?
Yeah, J Scotty for real. It's number 4 and REEL. I'll take it.
Yeah, go. Follow J Scotty and give him all the hate mail about how he's so celebrating the idea that they're going to kill off Scott Lang finally. I think that's what he said, guys. I think that's what he said.
Where's the king when you need it? We need to go back and rewrite this timeline. I'll make a deal. All right, guys. But no, be nice to J Scotty. It's all good. But I can take it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We will be back very soon. J Scotty, tell them where they can find your, not only your social media so they can send you hate mail, but also your podcast.
Yeah, I am one of the hosts of Animation Deliberation, the podcast that takes action animation and cartoons seriously, but not too seriously. So every week we cover the latest and the greatest in action animation. So wherever you find your podcast, please seek us out and join in the fun. We appreciate it.
Yeah, Animation Deliberation. Woo! I'm excited to hear what you guys got coming up. We'll be back soon with lots of stuff. We got the draft is coming up in just next couple days here on the cast, and we got an episode with the wonderful Ashley Coffin coming up.
Drafters, you may want to steer clear of Scott Lang. Just saying.
I was thinking about we think about all the rules for the draft, and I was like, in this trailer, we know he does something selfish, but does that cross the line to bad intent and lose him points in the draft? I don't know.
I don't know either, but one thing I am confident about is that there will be debate. There will be controversy.
For sure.
Such is the draft.
All right, guys, we'll be back soon. Peace.
Later.
Until next time, true believers. Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer that dropped just last evening. Join us or check out the YouTube version where you can watch along with all the freeze frame stuff. Check it out. youtube.com/StrandedPandaTV. All that right off the bat we have no control over. Thank you for joining us for the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. Available everywhere you get podcasts, and now a video version streaming live on twitch.tv/StrandedPandaTV and available at youtube.com/StrandedPanda. And if you'd like to learn more about all of our other podcasts, geeky projects, and ways to support the network, visit StrandedPanda.com.